Hello there, good people. What is up? Welcome to this channel. My name is Marco and I am a self-taught programmer who recently changed career to become a full-stack developer. And in here, I'm gonna share and vlog my experiences and hopefully help you becoming a developer and turn your career into something much bigger. In this particular video, I'm going to address something that is very common in software or even web development, which is APIs. What they are, what they do, and also I'll build a very simple basic API at the end, and I'll give you a few examples of useful APIs. Okay, so to start off with, there is plenty of videos online about what APIs are and do, and I watched a good part of it when I had just started programming. As I said, they are an integral part of everything you are ever going to do as a developer. For me, there has always been one problem though. I was never satisfied with the explanation. I could never understand the core concepts. I mean, I followed the video, I heard the words, but what do they mean? After all, I am not a computer science student, I don't have a computer science degree, and many of these videos were talking about abstractions and whatnot, and these were totally just going over my head. So today I decided to try myself and explain what APIs are in a human-friendly way. And you can trust this because, as I said, I am not a computer science student, I am self-taught, and as such I know the struggle to understand a piece of documentation that looks like the manual to build the next SpaceX Starship. What I've seen in many videos is that they use a common way for representing and explaining APIs, and it's usually a restaurant. You are the customer, so the user, the kitchen is the server, and the API is the waiter. What could possibly be unclear about this? Well, in my opinion, it gives you the wrong idea, and in general, it misdirects your understanding about what APIs are. First, from this example, it almost sounds like APIs somehow move. This is wrong, totally wrong. API doesn't go anywhere. It's you, the user, who needs to move. To go on with the restaurant example, you are surely the customer. The kitchen is surely the server, but the API is not the waiter. If anything, the API is the front desk of the kitchen. You go there, you take a look at the menu, and then you order and wait patiently for the response for your meal. And if you have something wrong or misspelled something, you're gonna get the good old 404 or some kind of errors in between, and you're not gonna get your meal. Sorry. One piece of information that I've always struggled with when trying to learn APIs was that somehow APIs were detached from the server. You use the API to go there and fetch whatever you need, exactly like a waiter. That is not the case. In fact, API is, believe it or not, is the server, or it lives on the server. So if you want something, you directly need to ask to the kitchen. With this in mind, let's take the name API, which is an acronym, and it stands for Application Programming Interface. Does that mean anything to you? No? I understand. Just focus on the last part for now, interface. An interface is quite common when talking about technology. Anytime you have a smartphone and you click on an icon like the Facebook icon, for example, that is an interface. You are interacting with your phone, which is basically a dumb machine which only understands zeros and ones, but you are doing it with one gesture. What happens behind it, how the action actually leads to the Facebook app opening, it doesn't matter. You don't get to see any of that, luckily, but you click and it's done. An interface is everything you see on a screen that allows you to perform some actions, like delete files, create a folder. macOS is an operating system that has an interface. I mean, the dock, the finder, the dashboard, and other operating systems basically work in the same way. Even Linux, because even the terminal or the bash is an interface. It's very minimal and bare boned, very different from what you're used to, but it is an interface. Why is this concept so important to grasp? In this example I just mentioned, you can see a common theme. The interface is a medium through which you interact with something. In case of macOS, the interface allows you to give commands to the system. So now it comes the question, what do APIs allow you to interact with? The answer is in the first part, application. They allow you to interact with an application. In programming, application means many things. As a matter of fact, there are two main types of APIs. One properly named API, and another one, which travels through the internet, is a web API. The first is meant for interaction with applications, which means pieces of softwares, and the second one is for website or web servers. If you're new to programming and you've just started with a language like Python or JavaScript or even Java, you have noticed that every time you need to perform an action, like sum two numbers, or declare variables, or create a function, there is always a precise syntax, rules that you need to follow, otherwise you get an error. Now, languages are fundamentally APIs. Languages are languages, but they work as APIs. They let you interact with the machine following a precise set of rules. You have no idea how they do it, but take for example Python. When you want to create a class, Python does certain things behind the scenes, calls built-in methods. You have no idea how it does it. You just declare the class keyword and it's done. Now let's pass to web APIs, which are a little bit easier to understand. As for the first case, they also have strict rules that you need to follow in order to make them work properly. You usually have a documentation that tells you that. It gives you the instructions about how you are supposed to interact with them. The first rule when dealing with APIs: read the documentation. People put time and effort into it so that you could have a better experience, so use it, trust me. The fundamental question in this case is always the same. Interface for what? Web APIs are interfaces for servers or web servers. Why would I want to interact with a web server? Well, first of all, you might want to see a web page, or you might want to get some data from it, or you might also want to do some actions, like you want to create an account, sign up or log in, or delete an account. When you're coding a website, especially the backend of a website, which represents the logic, the database stuff, the routing, you want to have a way for you, yourself, and for others to interact with this logic. So you create an API in what is commonly known as a RESTful API from a representational state. And it has to do with the architecture, so how it is implemented. Each piece of logic, each action, task, they do have their specific route or point or endpoint where they rest. If you want to take advantage of this logic, of the functionalities, you need to hit or make a request to this specific endpoint. There are several types of requests, like post, get, put, and the standard protocol, meaning how they get delivered. There are several, but the standard protocol is usually HTTP. Now, it's not necessary for you to understand this last part to comprehend APIs. Now, I just want to give you a brief example of a very simple APIs that you can create. So I'm going to show you how to create an API with basic routes for mathematical operations. All right, so let's take a web framework like Flask using Python. And in here, I basically created 4 routes plus one home route. And here I'm just exactly at the home page. I want to provide a route for each operation. So I have an addition, and as you can see, my routing is going to be API v1, which is the standard for version 1, and the operation addition. Then I have subtraction, multiplication, and I even have division. Now in my imaginary documentation, I will say that to make this route work, you need to provide one query parameter. And the query parameter goes exactly in the URL. It's preceded by a question mark, and it's a key value pair. So the key is going to be num, and the value is going to be the numbers that you want to be added or subtracted, etc., etc. So if I want to build a very simple request here, and I want something that multiply, so I said it was the multiplication, right? So multiplication, question mark to introduce the query parameters, num, and I'm just gonna say, I don't know, 20 and 10. And the result is 200. Yoo! Now what I get back here is what is called a Json object, a JSON, not like the name JSON, but JSON. And it's a JavaScript object notation. And basically it's the standard way to exchange information among servers. It's not the only one, but it's definitely the most used. Some JSON responses can become super complex, but you shouldn't panic because they are not really meant for humans. I made this huge mistake at the beginning and trying and understand JSON, like make them legible and whatnot. Don't even think about it. They are meant for computers, and computers don't care about order or nesting or how long it is. They really don't care. Now you see it's very basic, but I am using the functionality of the server, in this case my computer, to make an operation. And I allowed you or any other person using my API to access and use the logic happening on my server. Just to give you a few examples of APIs, the most common is probably weather APIs, where you get a JSON response with data about the weather in a location, or even the random data API that gives you a list of randomly generated users with first name, last name, age, etc. Or even the YouTube API, which gives you a list of the videos, their titles, like, dislikes, duration, etc. Or the Twitter API, which gives you a list of friends. In this day and age, APIs are basically everywhere. So it's a good thing for you to learn what they are, how to use them, and even how to create one. Now that you know all this, I really hope that you can try and build one in your own more confidently. After all, the concept is really not that difficult. And if you're interested, I have a new series on projects for beginners, and next week I'll build an API. So if you wanted to see that, along with many other projects that might help you improve your portfolio, make sure to subscribe not to miss a single episode. In addition, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share it with other people, and leave a comment to let me know what you think about APIs. Do you love them, hate them? For now, this is all. Thank you very much for watching. As always, stay tuned for more, and bye bye.